Oh no, we can't sail on! But being stranded in New Zealand doesn't have to be a punishment. We explore the North Island and document inspiring sustainable solutions. With all countries around New Zealand closed due to the pandemic, we are stranded here. To make the most of it, we explore more of our stunning host country, starting in our neighborhood.
Can you believe it? This is our backyard. Pretty, eh?
We find ingredients for Sustainable Solution Story at Whangarai's Growers Market. At Tim's stand, we regularly buy what's in season. He grows beyond organic and offers to show us his methods at his farm. As soon as we leave the road and turn into his driveway, we are surrounded by jungle. It's no wonder Tim named his farm the Food Jungle. What is the secret of his success?
My philosophy is swim downstream with life instead of trying to kill off everything but my plant. You know, like all my other farming colleagues, what they do is they've got avocados or whatever, they kill off every other bit of life that looks like it's going to be harmful, like weeds, insects, you know, fungus, everything. I go the other way, like I just sort of go, well, what will work without me having to do them.
To see how it works in practice, we follow Tim to one of his vegetable plots.
Here is how I start a new garden. And here is where, this is an area that I'd lost control of and it was not productive. And so I started again. I fed all the green material through a chipper and I charcoaled a lot of the bigger stuff and made a big bonfire and then put it out with a hose and made it into biochar. And then I add to that effective microorganisms, special brews that I make and other micronized nutrients that I make out of bamboo and various things around the place. And also microorganisms and funguses that I collect from under-established plants, and then I spread them on these gardens. And while I'm establishing the gardens, I plant my fruit trees as well.
Tim's food jungle is very well thought out.
I've got a basic sort of like landscaping plan, if you like, and that is that I've got about a third of my farm in orchards and gardens and a third in trees that I'm gonna chop, forestry trees, and I've started into them, and a third in bush, which I'm planning on leaving for, you know, biodiversity and interest, say.
Tim's farm is rich in biodiversity, stores carbon, and is productive and resilient. Not fighting against nature, but making good use of it might just be the best way to grow food.
To document more sustainable solutions, see friends and explore the North Island, we jump in our campervan. Our first stop, Auckland.
The city's Holland House hosts the Dutch School. We share the story of our trip and mission with the students. It's wonderful to see the young generation's excitement about our adventures and sustainability. We also spend time with our friends Vivian, Bram and Flora, who show us their favorite areas around Auckland. Not far from their house, we can document another sustainable solution.
We are in the south of Auckland today to visit the New Zealand Food Network and learn how they reduce food waste and help those who are food insecure.
CEO Gavin Findlay explains what they do.
The New Zealand Food Network, in essence, is a solution to some of the very large surplus food that's within the food supply chain, whether it be manufactured or grown, where previously it would just go to landfill because there was no entity with the storage capability or the distribution capability to handle it. When I say large, I'm talking about 200 pallets of product or tens of tons of tomatoes or vegetables that would otherwise just go to landfill. So we designed the system to be easy for those manufacturers and growers to donate that product to us, and through our logistics channels get it out to about 50 food hubs throughout New Zealand who work with people who are struggling with food. So really simple, lots of food here, lots of need here, and we connect the two. So everything that you're going to see here is surplus food. Surplus for one reason or another.
In the warehouse, large quantities of food arrive that is mislabeled, close to its sell-by date, or considered imperfect.
So, tins of apples, so these are all sickened. These are all not fit for sale.
They look perfect.
No, now let me tell you why this is. Okay? Because of this.
Rescuing food from landfill also has environmental benefits.
I call food in landfill an environmental menace. Organic material needs oxygen to degrade properly. When you compact it into big landfills, it produces methane, CH4, which is extraordinarily corrosive. And just a little stat about food waste in landfill. If it was classed as a country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gas on the planet. It's disgusting.
Thanks to food rescue organizations like New Zealand Food Network, hungry mouths are fed, less food is wasted, and greenhouse gas emissions are avoided.
We continue our trip along pristine rivers, the North Island's highest mountains, and a stunning waterfall.
Our next destination is Taupo. The town sits on the shore of New Zealand's largest lake, which is actually the caldera of a volcano.
In this part of New Zealand, it's so hot just beneath the surface that steam is rising up.
Clearly, the Kiwis are putting the Earth's heat to good use. But what exactly do they do?
To find out, we visit a nearby geothermal power station, Awa Purua. It is run by energy company Mercury in cooperation with the local Maori tribe, the Ngati Tahu. Field manager Michael Stevens starts by explaining the basics of this geothermal field.
What we have here through this section here, all these red lines are all our production wells which we extract the geothermal fluid from. And they're up to 2.5 kilometres deep, and we're extracting geothermal fluid from 1200 metres to 2500 metres as we're extracting the geothermal fluid out. And at the hottest temperature at the bottom of the hole is 330 degrees Celsius.
With the high temperatures from such depth, they can generate electricity efficiently.
So we're extracting fluid through all this area, and we're supplying 2 power stations with that fluid. A little power station here, which is 36 megawatts, We supply fuel for that, and then we supply fuel for this plant here, which is 139 megawatts. So we bring the fluid, put it through the power stations, we extract as much energy out of the geothermal fluid, and then once we've extracted the energy and we've turned that out into electricity, we then send all the fluid back down into this area here, and these blue lines are all our injection wells. We're sticking it back into the ground, and we're putting it back into the ground between 2,000 and 3,000 metres below the ground level. And we're doing that down into there, and then what happens is the fluid slowly heats up as it's going through the hot rocks, and it comes across here and flows around like this. There's a big fault running through here, so it hits the fault, it flows down here and then comes around like this and flows out that way. And that way we're extracting all the fluid out of the ground, taking the energy out of it, putting it back into the ground, it's heating up, and then it comes back around and helps support this area where we've extracted the heat. And that's how we make it sustainable over a long period of time.
The geothermal fluid flows through pipes to the plant, where it is separated into liquid and steam to propel the turbine.
So geothermal is renewable, but it does have a certain amount of CO2 that comes out of the ground with that geothermal, and that's sort of come from the deep reservoir, and naturally comes out of the ground anyway. Over time it will naturally come out through surface features over time. But because we're generating electricity and we bring it up a little bit faster.
For New Zealand, geothermal energy is an important element to generate 100% of its electricity from renewable sources by 2035.
On the west coast, we get to experience the Earth's heat up close.
Dig some holes.
Why?
Apparently there's hot water on the beach. Well, let's find out.
Here we are, we've dug our, well actually our South African friends did all the work. They dug their own hot pool at the beach.
It's so hot. It's like, oh, if you go deeper, it just hurts. It's unbelievable. Nature can provide all the renewable energy we need. It is up to all of us to harvest it smartly and use it wisely.
We're close to Raglan and we are getting ready for another hike up to the Karioi summit.
In Raglan, we meet the team behind Karioi project. To turn the tide on biodiversity loss and rewild that corner of the world, they fight introduced predators that do great damage to the local ecosystem. We return to Auckland and head to the studio of Radio New Zealand.
Here we go for our first radio interview in New Zealand.
Floris van Hees and Eva Smits had enough with their day jobs in Amsterdam when 5 years ago they decided to quit work, fix up their boat and set sail on a trip around the world.
In the first year, I think we've documented more than 15 stories, varying from renewable energy projects to natural ways of growing food. We spoke to the lead person of the ecocide movement.
One of the most beautiful things we've seen and world leading is that natural phenomena like a river, the Wanganui River or Mount Taranaki and Te Urewera Park have been recognized as having legal personality in New Zealand law.
We discover more areas of natural beauty along the coast of Northland, the country's northernmost region. Of course, we can't let another hiking opportunity go to waste.
We reached the stunning Hokianga, a natural harbour. Mammoths left their droppings on its shore, or so it seems.
Not far from there, our friends Lane and Susie started a new chapter in their lives by buying a rural property. They plan to create a permaculture garden and food forest. The next few days, we help them in the orchard and keep the dogs entertained.
We make our way to the northernmost part of the North Island, where we visit Chalice and Ken. Only a year ago, they bought a piece of land from a dairy farmer. They have been busy turning pasture, consisting of kikuyu grass, into a vegetable garden and food forest ever since.
This was all grass.
But
Yeah.
you've done. What's the plan and what have you done?
So it really has just been an organic process, and I've been learning a lot really as I went. So I started building the soil. So the soil has been, there was a bit of topsoil that I used from when we excavated and made this flat down here. So that was put on here. Leaf mulch from in the bush, from deciduous trees. Multiple amounts of cow manure and horse manure. So lots of truckloads of gathering around the place. A lot of seaweed. And like I said to you before, like the first lot of vegetables just didn't grow into anything, and now, this year it's just beautiful to see. Look at the health of what's happening.
What is regenerative about this?
So it's basically that you can have trees in amongst your vegetables, and you can you cut and drop as well. And because nature wants to go back into the forest situation, so you're sort of supporting what is naturally there and what nature naturally wants to do. And it's great because also I probably won't do that with these avocados. In fact, I probably will pull one of them out. However, the carbon content that the trees offer is really important, and also the fungi. So if you actually have lots of pieces of rotten wood it actually supports bringing back the fungi as well, which is something I haven't actually done before in gardening, and I'm really enjoying it. Yeah.
Where once there was grass, now vegetables, fruits and flowers grow prolifically. They've also been busy nursing trees and planting them all over the property. So from your own trees you collected seeds?
Look.
Yeah, so that's Rimu. We'll stick them out on banks. And Rimu is a beautiful tree.
So cute.
Yeah, it can get very, very large.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, more max variety. That's part of variety. variety of stuff, yeah, that we eat and stuff. We're very thankful because somebody in the past planted a bunch of Japanese cedar trees that we're using to build here, and that was about 2 generations ago. So if we, this land was raped of kari and rimu for a reason, because they're awesome trees, and miro and other cool trees. The variety has been stripped away and turned into grass and a few things that cows don't eat. So adding more variety is only more helpful to somebody in the future. Maybe the child's grandchildren will find out the benefit of them, and that's fine.
All that vegetation also removes CO2 from the atmosphere and stores it as carbon in the biomass and soil. Their approach is a textbook example of regenerative farming. We drive to the northernmost tip of New Zealand, Cape Reinga. A lighthouse stands on the windswept outcrop. This is where the Tasman Sea meets the southern Pacific Ocean, so the waves and currents collide and it's often windy. According to Maori mythology, here is where the spirits of the deceased submerge to the underworld and further offshore ascend to their spiritual homeland. It truly is a magical place. Spirits Bay, around the corner, is also impressive. Its beautiful white sandy beach curves to form a perfect semicircle. Nearby are gigantic sand dunes. When we climb them, it feels like being in the Sahara Desert. New Zealand's varied landscapes keep dazzling us.
We get a history lesson at the Waitangi Treaty Grounds. A treaty between the British Crown and the Maori chiefs was signed here in 1840. Although the treaty's interpretation and implementation led to many conflicts, it is still the foundation for the relationship between the first and later settlers of New Zealand. In the marae, the Maori's cultural meeting place, we get a traditional welcome ceremony. What a blessing in disguise to be stranded in New Zealand. Did you like this video?
And want to see more? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on social media, become our patron on Patreon, or subscribe to our email newsletter on our website.